Welcome to the Canadian SME Small Business Podcast, where each episode focuses on a crucial aspect of our communities, small businesses. These engines of growth are the backbone of economy, often embodying the dreams and passion of individuals striving for success. Their importance cannot be overstated as they inject vitality into our local markets, create jobs, and foster innovation. Supporting local businesses isn't just a choice, it's a commitment to nurturing the heart of our community's economic and social fabric. Today, we are excited to delve deeper into the world with our special guest, Nadeen Borg. Our guest today is Nadeen Borg, CEO and founder of WY Consulting Group, a boutique communications agency known for its innovative approach in developing growing brands. Nadeen has an impressive background, having worked with Fortune 500 companies and Time's Best companies. Her expertise is in tailoring strategies for small and medium businesses across North America, Europe, and Australia, focusing on sustainability and business longevity. She is here to share her insights on building strong brands and driving success in the business world. Good morning and welcome to the Canadian SME Small Business Podcast. How are you today?
I'm good, thanks. How are you, SK?
I am fine. Thank you for asking. We are excited to have you join us as we delve into the fascinating world of small businesses. Let's dive into our first topic, growing a small business under, challenging times. Nadeen, you have excelled in helping businesses thrive even when resources are scarce. In your experience, how can small businesses grow despite facing various limitations or resources? What strategies have proven effective in such scenarios?
Very good question. The key really is focusing on resource management. So the easy formula would be maximize revenue and minimize expenses. But the business world isn't that black and white. There's new products entering the marketplace all the time. There's competitors entering the landscape who will do it better, cheaper, faster. And you as a business have the responsibility to stand out amongst that. And the way that's done is really aligning with your values and really being true to what you're delivering to the consumer at the end of the day. It's really important to understand who it is that you're communicating to and what you want out of them. So any business will have a mix of customers they're selling to, but they're probably going to have some suppliers in there or contractors and employees that they're going to have to deal with. So everything that's being put out on behalf of the business really does need to be this unified vision of the company in order to be able to stand out amongst that messy landscape.
Can you share a specific success story where you help a business overcome these challenges?
I'd like to talk maybe about our work during the time of, even before the pandemic. During the pandemic, we were doing a lot of work with the food service, hospitality industry. It included local mom and pop stores. It included chains and, just bigger players even in that local space, all the way to restaurant technology companies, as well as major brands that supply these industries. It was a time where there was so much uncertainty. It went against the grain of everything the industry knew. And a lot of the times, the whole goal at the end of the day was to be able to put revenue in the hands of these business owners whose business got disrupted from all of this. So it's interesting to reflect on that work and how holistically, with how we were diverse with that industry, in a matter of whether it was consulting or working more in part with these companies, how that just was the overarching goal. And there were different ways we did that. Some put more money into marketing because they focused more on an e-commerce strategy. Some launched new divisions of their business that really followed suit to what they were doing for decades. Some kind of used it as the excuse to try things that they've never done before that were kind of passion projects that kept getting swept under the rug because, life happens and you have to focus on everything else. So the key really in how we were able to be so diverse for so many different companies was really understanding what the goal was and really understanding what they wanted to do with that, because it is what you put out in the world. And that really, I did find, align a lot of businesses to the right partners to work with and has set them up for, this new way of working.
Right. That's very important to work with the right people at the right time. And then your idea and the business grows, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Moving on, I'm curious about WY Consulting Group is transforming the agency-client relationship. It seems you have a unique approach to this dynamic. You have mentioned redefining the agency world. How does WY Consulting Group approach to working with clients differ from traditional models?
So prior to having the agency, I was in the franchising industry. And what I found in that role was the lack of services for that business model, because working in that corporate environment responsible for many local businesses under that umbrella, you have to be responsible for the overall brand impression, but then be able to work with the local businesses within that model.
It might be a great experience, right?
Absolutely. And they're all at different stages of the growth model too. Some were startups and you needed to do a lot with very little. Some were more mature. They were making money. They were comfortable, right? But then how are we going to keep building that business and getting new business, but then also maximizing every sale, right? So that was kind of my inspiration when founding the agency. I just found I wasn't able to find the right support I needed to be able to do my work when I was working with another company. So I really did. My vision for the agency was always to be flexible, to be able to work with any budget, to be able to work as collaboratively or as independently as the preference of that business was. And a lot of agencies, the older model anyways, is very pay X, you'll get Y.
Right.
And it's just very cut and dry, and the world's just changing so much. There's so many resources available to all of us to be able to do a lot ourselves. And I think that's changed the landscape drastically. And instead of shooing that away and fighting it, we just chose to really tie that in and bring it into our business. And our structure as a whole is very different because of that.
Moving from franchising world to starting your own business, was there any specific challenge that you would like to share with our listeners that you have faced and overcome?
I think the challenge for me was really finding where my niche and my voice was, similar to any small business we work with. What do we want to specialize in? How do we want to go about working? And a lot of that, I think, if you're in franchising or if you're in a business that's growing fast, you need to be able to wear many hats, and you need to be able to do a lot, and you need to be, very, very determined.
And it becomes very difficult to, managing your personal life as well as your professional life when you are in business, right?
It definitely blends. Absolutely.
Right. Is there any key piece of advice that you would like to share with, especially with women entrepreneurs who are just starting out?
Yeah. It's definitely something where I feel is overthought maybe is this the right time? Am I making the right move? Can I do this? How can I hold up in meetings versus, other people who have a whole team and have had success stories on their belt? And I think that's very natural for anyone who goes out on their own to really experience that. But it is something that I think once you jump and once you set your mind to anything, it's kicking that imposter syndrome aside and saying it doesn't need to be perfect. Let's go, let's move, let's do what we can and just keep growing. That philosophy, interesting enough, has kind of stuck with a lot of the businesses we work with, even some of the larger brands that, are just have huge growth strategies ahead of them. It's the same structure. They might have larger budgets, but same kind of mentality. And a lot of the times it's just go, go, go. And that working relationship that we build from that same philosophy is really what makes a lot of what we do successful.
So what was your motivation? Is there any role model in your life, whom you have followed and, you have spent time studying and, that motivated you to start the WY Consulting Group?
Yeah. I've been around entrepreneurs my whole life. My whole family, I guess, is a string of it. A lot of my friends' families came from that as well. I think what always attracted to me me to it was the flexibility that kind of comes with it. I think that's what a lot of entrepreneurs will say. I started joking that I don't leave my office anymore. I just sleep at it when I had the home office. So it is one of those things where, as much as your time is flexible, it's not an exchange of time. There's no clocking out. There are no sick days. There are no weekends.
There are no holidays. There are no
There's
off days,
nothing.
right?
But with that, I at least have the flexibility to be remote and
Right.
do my work in somewhere like Mexico and be able to
Right.
just enjoy scenery, even though it is working. So it is a give and take. So you look at things like a week holiday and it's like, yeah, I remember when I used to do that.
Right. Yeah. What has been the most satisfying part of your journey so far?
I think just seeing everything that we've been able to do for businesses, and be able to see them meet their goals and watch companies go from, maybe renting a little room out of the back of a hair salon and then getting their own place one day or expanding their operation. Again, everyone's goals are very different, but seeing us achieve those goals is really satisfying. I think with that, because our businesses, growing businesses, those milestones are also really important for our growth.
Right.
So that whole journey, all the hiccups, all the uncertainty at times, it just makes it all really rewarding.
Nadeen, how do you balance personal values with professional goals in your business model?
Yeah. I guess that's a work in progress. It really becomes blurred because my business has become such an extension of me. And, I have clients that are friends that have turned clients. Like it's been a mix of all of that. So I do find for me anyways, it has become more blended and not so much as chasing a balance, but more so how are we navigating this? Because it really has become this complete extension to me and everyone who works with us, whether it be contractors or partner agencies, they all think very similarly and have this new vision, so to say, again, against traditional models. So with that, again, aligning to values and knowing what we want to put out there, everything I said at the beginning, same kind of principles for us.
Right. Have you faced any challenges or any problems for being a woman entrepreneurs in this in your business industry?
Um, it's a yes and no question. I wonder how much of it early on in my career came from maybe early experiences that I would have in the back of my mind of being very cautious about it. Definitely early on in my career, I was very, very cautious of what I was wearing, who I was speaking to, etiquette, which I think is important for anyone. I really did feel I needed to go above and beyond and really be smarter than the next person and have to kind of prove it out that way. I do find, again, as time goes on and aligning with who you want to be working with and what you want to be putting out there, I find that fades. But I think that comes with really understanding that you know what you're doing and you're going to make mistakes. We're all human, just like any male or female would. And I think that's just where things are at with that.
Right. Hearing about your journey and the balance between the personal and professional values offers a great blueprint for aspiring entrepreneurs. Understanding and leveraging a brand's uniqueness is crucial. Could you elaborate on how your team uncovers what makes a brand unique and how you use this to drive growth?
A lot of that comes with understanding who we're working with. So we'll never have an initial conversation with a pitch deck saying, do all of this and you will find all your dreams come true. It very much is, let's sit down, let's have a conversation. What are you looking to do? A lot of the times if we're referring to someone too, they have an idea of what we're doing. So we'll answer any questions. But we always try to figure out what the goal of the business is. It might be common sense for some to make more money, but
Right.
sometimes making more money means training your internal team a little bit better, right? So we always start with that assessment period to understand where it is the biggest opportunities of growth are. And then from there, build a plan that makes sense for the budget we're working with. A lot of the times, some teams use us as also extension of their services. So traditionally, people use us to develop their strategies and execute. Sometimes they need the support. Sometimes they know exactly what they want to do and they need people to execute. So that's really crucial for us to understand. They might also have some people who just need to be trained to be able to do it. So sometimes a business's goal is, I have these people, I know what I want them to do, I need them to get there. So that's almost more of a project versus this ongoing type of work that we do, right? And in those cases, we'll hear from them in a year when something else comes up, right? So it's very different for everyone, and that getting to know each other really well at the beginning, but also constantly reevaluating that relationship and revisiting goals and how we go about that and adjusting to what's going on in the world and trends is all part of the landscape and how we do that.
Right. Nadeen, how do you ensure that the growth strategies remain authentic to the brand's core values?
It starts with assessing what's been done, because the reality is a lot of the times when businesses reach out, they've already know what they want to do. If it's a startup, they know exactly what they want to accomplish. But if it's an existing business, they got here some way, somehow. So we do like to respect and understand what has worked with them really well, to suggest those opportunities to be able to grow that business. And sometimes I'll use the case of, digital media versus traditional media. Some people are a little bit more old school, right? Now, they might want to stay there. So how are we going to maximize the effectiveness of something more traditional? But they also might recognize that it's time for a change and they need more digital strategies involved with that. And they might need a little bit more lectures, consulting, however you want to put it. They want to learn a little bit more about it before they invest in it and take this route to growing their business. So I'd say that's the best way to summarize what we do, because like I said, it's very different with everyone. And because that relationship gets really intimate with our clients, we have clients we've been working with for years and sometimes know their business better than they do in themselves and how they want to see the business grow.
They need the right direction, right?
Right direction. And again, that's not as black and white of this is going to make you money. It's, I want to do it this way because this is my vision, my values, and how I see the industry evolving because I'm involved in it. So that's where I think a lot of that creativity comes into play, where it's not just, this straightforward black and white direction.
Thanks for sharing your thoughts on the growth strategies and core brand values, which is vital takeaway for any businesses who is looking to scale authentically, right? Navigating entrepreneurship today comes with its own set of challenges. What are some common hurdles you have observed and how can they be overcome?
I'd say the biggest one is, again, when you're an entrepreneur, you're wearing many hats. So sometimes you don't have time to wear the hats, or personal lives go crazy, or whatever the case may be. And I think that journey is the journey of an entrepreneur you've signed up for. Again, you can't call into your boss and call in sick because you're the boss. You need to make the call of what the priority is that day, in that second, in that minute, and be able to roll with the punches and drive that journey and just do the best you can. And that's, I think, the game changer in anyone who's running their own business, is how determined and dedicated you are to that path.
And Nadeen, how important is adaptability in the current business landscape?
Adaptability is something we all need to do. Doesn't matter where we're working or what we're doing. Entrepreneur, corporate, small business, wherever you kind of land in that is something we all need to do. Our working conditions, working from home, working from the office, that alone has changed a lot for many of us. If it is a job that we have to go to every day, the way we go about that's very different. I'd like to zoom in on digital and being adaptive in that, because that's also something that, I was working with social media before the days where I was knocking on my boss's door, we need this thing called, Instagram. And it has changed to it's such an extension of us as people and businesses. But it's also really important to find that balance and to not allow it to consume you, but also being able to see what else is going on in the world. And there have been a lot of people who stepped back on it because of the landscape of it. So to toot the social media horn of this is the have all and end all, you're missing that omni-channel strategy that, what are you doing for your customers who are boycotting certain platforms or ways of consuming information, or use it in moderation because it has consumed them once upon a time.
All right. Nadeen, your perspectives on the importance of adaptability and overcoming these common hurdles provides a realistic yet optimistic outlook for modern entrepreneurs. Looking ahead, Nadeen, how do you see the landscape of communication and branding evolving for small businesses?
You have to be able to do that both online and offline. It's something that nowadays is very important, was never an issue before, because a lot of the early on, right, it was just how we held ourselves in person or at the office.
Right.
And now we have this 24/7 reputation, quick response times, customer service needs to be top of the line.
Right.
Otherwise, you don't know the backlash you can get for it. It's very important to be proactive in responses and how you want to handle certain situations before they happen. Because as we've seen many times with even massive businesses, one person says the wrong thing on behalf of the business and it follows them. And cancel culture is a real thing.
It will be a very big issue, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So the more proactive you are as a business, the more enhanced your branding is going to be. And that all comes down to communication. And it's not just you as the head of the business. It's really important to make sure your internal teams really believe in your vision and are putting that out there on behalf of you.
Okay. What should small businesses focus on to stay ahead in this evolving landscape?
That constant reevaluation, I think, is really important. It's always good to have your own voice and stand out in that way. And it's also really important to see what your competitors are doing, not necessarily for inspiration, but more so to understand your industry as a whole so you can respond to it in your own way. So if you are a brand that has a very, let's say, young demographic, hip, like wants to stay up to date, you need to be disruptive. You need to be bold. You need to catch attention. And anything online really does need to catch your attention really quick, but the way you go about that always needs to speak to your voice and really should match that offline experience, whether it's a store or a restaurant or something you have physically, or if you are conducting meetings, that's all something that should be really in sync with each other.
Nadeen, how can our listeners and our readers of Canadian SME Small Business Magazine get connected with you and with your business?
Yeah, our website has an easy form just to fill out that'll go direct to me. www.wy-cg.com is our website. You can find us on social if that's easier for you.
Nadeen, is there any key piece of advice that you would like to share with women entrepreneurs?
Yeah, I guess I'd say it's you versus you. Silence that little voice or loud voice, wherever it is in your head at that point. Just silence whatever's saying you can't do something and just go for it and do it. You got this.
Thanks again for sharing your thoughts, Nadeen. That brings us to the end of our insightful discussion today. Thank you for being here and for contributing so meaningful to our conversation.
Thank you for having me, SK. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Nadeen, for joining us today and sharing such profound insights and your stories and strategies in business development, especially in resource limited environments, redefine the traditional agency client relationship and offer a new perspective on entrepreneurship. Key learnings from our discussions include the importance of understanding a brand's unique identity, the power of adaptability in the ever changing business landscape, and the critical role of authenticity in brand and communication strategies. We are grateful for your time and wisdom. And we also want to thank our partners, exclusive banking partner RBC, exclusive shipping partner UPS, and exclusive accounting software partner Zero. To our listeners, these insights are just the tip of iceberg, and we encourage you to delve deeper into these topics. Remember to subscribe to Canadian SME Small Business Magazine by visiting CanadianSME.ca for more empowering content. Keep supporting local businesses and join us next time for more enriching discussions. Thank you for tuning in to the Small Business Podcast.